while I get this set up.
Yes.
Almost there. Sometimes it's quick and sometimes it's slow. Okay, and we are live on YouTube. So welcome to our second Agile Beer USA. I want to thank everybody for showing up and for everybody that's going to be viewing this video either live or later on. I got a few more people that are trying to join. Um, we're gonna have a lot of fun here, get some education, and go from there. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna share a screen. I'm gonna share a deck. Can everybody see that? If you can, give me a thumbs up or give me
Yeah.
a verbal. You can't see it yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me do something here real quick. Okay. How about now?
No,
Yep.
it's okay.
Yep.
Okay, we're good.
See
Okay,
it.
so awesome. Thank you all very much again for coming. So first thing I want to talk about is our meeting, our team agreement for our meetup group. As you know, those of you that have been in here for a few minutes, you know that we just started a live YouTube stream session. Number two, I want to make sure that everyone is aware to please be patient because we might have some domestic interruptions. Some of us have pets, some of us have children, and some of us have future presenters that want to be actively engaged. So be patient with us. Um, you can drink your beer, your gin, your scotch, your water, whatever you want, no problem at all. One of the rules that we have is we're not going to talk about politics whatsoever. Two rules I have is no politics and no religion. That way we stay out of trouble. Um, we would appreciate it very much if you could, turn your camera on, but if you can't, we understand that as well. We do ask that you keep your microphone muted, except during the lean beer and the question and answer. All right. The tools we're going to be using are, of course, Zoom, Slice, and Fun Retro, and you'll see each of those. And after the presentation, we're going to give you a link where we would like and appreciate your feedback. And we do look at that feedback. In fact, this Agile Beer session was modified based on the feedback from the very first one. Some people said that they wanted more time for our breakout sessions. So voila, we have more time. All right, so we do look at your feedback and we appreciate it, and we take action on that. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to find out where you're located from. So let me pull up something here real quick. And we'll get this going. And I'm going to share a link. You're going to see it in a minute. And can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay, so if you could go to that URL and type in that code, that is, we would like for you to tell us where you're from, okay? So if we take about 2 minutes to do that, I'd appreciate it very much. And if you have trouble, let me know. It's where are you at right now? Where are you sitting? What city are you located? Austin. Vancouver. Washington, D.C. Okay. San Jose, Costa Rica, Rio, Sao Paulo. It's going too fast. My old brain can't handle this. Texas. Montemore. What's 33036? I don't know what that is. Poughkeepsie. I still don't know what 3306 is.
That one is Isla Morada in Florida.
Where is it?
Isla Morada in Florida.
In Florida. Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and stop that. And we're going to get back. Thank you all very much. We're a little bit global here. So based on Agile Beer, for those of you that are new here, we have Agile Beer organizations all over the world. It originated in Rio de Janeiro. with a couple of people. Um, but and there's a large several groups in Brazil, obviously, because that's where it originated from. But we're also in Europe and Netherlands. I'm the only one in the U.S. right now. We're looking to branch out in North America and other parts of South America and Singapore. So we're all over the place. Basically, our mission is our why is we want to be able to spread the agile mindset and share our knowledge and experiences and just become a closer, tight knit community. Because sometimes we get isolated, especially in these days where, most of the people throughout the world are working remotely and we're losing that connectivity that we have with other people. So we have this, we turned it into virtual. It was face to face, but we want to share our knowledge with each other and help each other grow and just be a community. It started out face to face that I mentioned, and it's gone virtual. There is a plan to go face to face again once everything is safe. Okay, so we're not going to be 100% virtual, but we have to be safe because we care about people. And we're just a group of agilists that want to make a difference. We want to help people learn. We want to promote people. That's we have opportunities to speak, not just in this meetup group, but all of our Agile Beer meetup groups are always looking for people that have something to share with everyone else. We're also looking for people that are willing to volunteer and be facilitators or co-facilitators for the breakout sessions. All right. So that's all about our mission. Again, these are some of the people that are involved. I won't stick to it too much, but there's quite a few of us all over the world. If you're interested in all the links for the different meetup groups, let me know and I'll give you this information. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Bruno Mello, and he's going to talk to us for about 20 minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to have 10 minutes for questions and answer. And so feel free to ask him any questions once his session is over. And so Bruno, I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes and I'll turn it over to you, brother. And I'm going to stop sharing and make you the host so you can share.
Thank you, Steve. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for the opportunity and invitation to be able to participate in this community, which it's very close to our hearts here in Brazil, especially because Chris is one of the founding mothers of Agile Beer, and Chris is a very dearly respected and appreciated thought leader within our Agile community here and now expanding. So it's beautiful to see this idea expanding so widely around the world. So thank you for that. So I'm not, Steve, can you share the host?
Yeah, you are.
Not yet.
Really?
It's not allowing yet.
You sure about that?
Mhm.
Actually, and
I think Anita is.
host, yeah.
So for some of you might join later, you haven't seen, but my son is right there, so he might be talking to us from time to time. You might be listening
Okay.
to him.
Anita, could you make Bruno the host, please? Somehow you were made the host.
Okay, and how do I do that?
You select his name, right click and
Okay.
say make, and got it?
Okay, make host.
Yep.
Yes, okay. I'm a WebEx person.
We'll forgive you. No.
All right, let me know when you guys can see the screen.
Yep, we got it, brother.
So I decided to do this using a PDF instead of a PowerPoint, which is a little bit easier. And because we did this this document in a vertical position, so using PowerPoint it's not the best way to see it, but like this is easier. So thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate the time and the interest in this topic and in the community itself. What we're going to be talking about, what I would be sharing with you all tonight is an experiment we've been doing at our team at Everest, a consulting firm, which is basically taking the dojo's concept and an overall philosophy and applying into a learning organization, right? And this is inspired by agility dojos, which we will talk about the overall origins as well, and how everything came out to be, and evolved to what we have been co-creating as a team, right? So the idea is to focus on that. So it's a learning dojo rather than a agility dojo, because we don't want to talk only about agility, but we want to branch out and talk about basically, learning and how we can help organizations achieve that level of of how can I say, autonomy, right? So bear with me with my English here. So to begin with, just to share with you all, this is our purpose for existing as a team, right? And our team is a global team as well, and it is to inspire and promote the evolution of organizations that everyone wants to belong to, right? And we based this experiment on that pursuit, right? And so so the overall objective was to create an opportunity for our team to learn from each other and develop skills, right? Not only soft skills, but also hard skills. So some people are versed on, extreme programming. Other people are very good at Scrum. Other people are, Kanban masters. And we want to be able to share that knowledge. And we want to do that. We wanted to find a way to do that in a way that was organic. So I've been studying a lot organic organizations and holacracy, which kind of like connect to that. And in terms of becoming a learning organization, it's very important to allow people to actually search for whatever they want to search and develop skills and capabilities related to whatever, not only whatever business they are in and activity they are in, but also their desires in their careers. So by looking for ways to become an organic learning team, we found dojos as a very welcoming and very respectful environment to build upon that idea, right? So that was our vision, if you will, right? So we began by understanding what was a dojo in the beginning. So in this is a paper that eventually we will be releasing. So whenever that's done, whenever that's released, we'll share with the Agile Beard community. And we along the story here, we will be covering up a little bit of the origin. So we start by understanding what a dojo was, right? And the main thing that we learned from this study and research is that a dojo is a place of respect, right? A respect and a place for inclusive experiences of knowledge transfer. So there's always two roles within a dojo, which is one of a master who has the knowledge which the apprentices seek, right? So we knew that within that particular structure, we needed those two elements to exist. And so we based out of the origin of dojos, we went to understand what was the origin of the Agile dojos, or dojos focused on teaching agility, right? So because everything came from software, and agility was born within the software culture and the software world, it was very inspired and very motivated by it. So when we went to research, and within that research, I actually talked to both Chris, the Coca, and Steve to try to find out if they knew what was the origin of Agile dojos, which no one could actually tell us. It was interesting that it was something that was so organic within the Agile communities that it just was just something that was natural. But of course, when we went to find out the origins, we discovered that Agile dojos were actually inspired by coding dojos, which began in Paris. And it's all here. There's a book, and there's two names of people who actually created coding dojos. And if anyone has any more information on the origin of Agile dojos, please share with us. I sent a lot of messages to people on LinkedIn, asking for this, people that I thought were there like in the early days, right? The beginners, like the actual masters of this stuff, to try to find the origin. So we came out, actually Coca found this book, right? And the two co-creators of Coding Dojos were Basovit and Guy Lutz, two software engineers in Paris, which I would never guess. In my mind, was something around in United States, somewhere in the United States. But that's one of the the early stages of dojos within the software culture and the software world, which eventually became the Agile dojos as as a natural progression of it, because dojos were so effective on helping teams develop software coding skills, that it was natural that coaches and scrum masters and other people involved with sharing agility and teaching and practicing and experimenting agility to actually try it out and actually use these dojos to actually test it out and experiment around agility, right? And then what we consider to be our purpose around this particular format that we created is to try to find and implement this immersive and organic learning environment for teams to thrive. So that's how we write it down. That's how we turn our mind, our vision into words, right? And also there's something around the 90s, around the decade of that decade, where teams used to do a lot of how do you call it, Steve? Those sessions that you mentioned.
The war room.
War room, which is not that far from a dojo, but without the philosophy, right? Without the philosophy behind it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the story, right? That's what we did. It's not only we were inspired by all that movement of getting all that stuff and changing and transforming that into something to allow agility to thrive. We actually took that and we made our dojo focused on learning, right? So and by that we also took the inspiration from the learning pyramid, which helps us understand that depending on how we digest and how we consume information, depending on how we do it, it might increase our chances of of absorbing knowledge. So for example, in this particular moment that we are sharing, science tells us that there's only 30% chance that all of you will actually learn this model, or 30% of everything you hear, you will actually remember, because that's how our minds work. So we're in the pursuit of increasing the level of absorption of knowledge. We actually created a format with multiple ways of learning. So that's why we call our framework. We actually nicknamed it, again, inspired by the lean movement and philosophy. And we created a 6W2L, which means 6 ways to learn, as a acronym, right? So to help us remember. So fundamentally, our dojo has 6 stages, right? And we go through all of them in every session. We have time boxing that we are using in virtual sessions, but of course, if we're doing on a face-to-face setting, it would actually be a larger time box. And then the beauty of it is that it doesn't get constrained or restricted to whatever time box we're using for the virtual sessions. We can do any time boxing, right? And it's also have been very, very productive and actually very and actually beautiful to see that we can actually engage with other people from the community and invite them to speak and to facilitate sessions within our dojo and teach our teams things, right? We have plenty of people who participated uh, to actually teach us what they are being practicing for a long time, right? Any subject, even using um, how to say visual facilitation as a tool for teaching. One of our friends in Brazil actually joined as a sensei, which is one of the roles, and taught us how to start our journey on using visual facilitation and visual communication as a tool. So anything goes, right? It's not just Kanban or extreme programming. Is anything that we believe can be a helpful tool or helpful knowledge, right? So 10 minutes, and then we broke that down. These 6 ways that we decided to use, it's what we're going to focus on next, right? So for those who don't know, this is the learning pyramid. I strongly recommend reading through this and actually reading the book from Edgar Dale, and it's a very interesting theory on how our minds work in terms of capturing new information and learning. And what we did is we try to take the first 3 ways that are on a higher percentage of effectiveness, and we apply to the dojo, right? And our dojo is funded on the Shuhari mindset or philosophy, if you will, right? The Shuhari, if you don't know Shuhari, I also strongly recommend you research a little bit more, which are stages of progression in learning, right? And in the Japanese culture, the last level, which is the He, is a level of mastery, right? Where you actually overcome your master's recipe and you actually are able to create something new, right? So if you use the Kung Fu Panda reference that we are using in this is Uguay, right? Uguay, which is the turtle, that's the personification of the He, the last level. And Shu is the beginning. It's the beginning of the journey. It's practice, and you practice that recipe. And the Ha is when you practice that recipe enough, and now you're able to do it in the real world, and you're able to do it alone, but you're not yet ready to actually transcend that particular recipe. So we really love that way of thinking about progression on learning, and how you can grow your knowledge based on that. And we have been using for everything, so it was just common sense to actually use it as a foundational part of our philosophy within our dojo. So in here you can see we decided to use, if you participate on 5 cycles on 5 dojos, you're able to actually experiment that dojo in your client. So if you participated in 1 to 5, once you passed on from 6 on, now you can take that recipe and apply in clients' environments, right? And then what we consider to be the He is based on the individual. So there's no formula. Depends on your dedication. So the more you're dedicated to that particular knowledge, it will depend on you, right? So there's no way for us to measure. It's really upon how that particular apprentice dedicates himself or herself to the knowledge, and to learning and progressing.
Okay, you got 4 minutes, Bruno.
Okay. And so we also have 3 roles. So the sensei is the master who teaches and who facilitates the knowledge, right? We have the senpai, which is the facilitator, someone like Steve here, which facilitates the overall session so that the sensei can focus on teaching, and the learners and apprentices can focus on learning. And the apprentices, we call them kohai. These three things are connected to our careers in our company, right? So it's completely connected to our culture. In here you can find more contents on exactly how each stage works, but let me focus real quick on this part, which is the cherry on top of the cake, if you will, right? Our cherry tonight, which is the framework. So I really like visual aids and visual communication. So I always try to make it as visual as possible to help us remember. And you can see every color represents one stage of learning. And this is how we've been doing on a virtual setting. We've been using Miro, which is similar to Muro to people from IBM, and it's very interactive tool with post-its and stuff. And we actually use those post-its to actually consolidate everything that has been shared. And at the end of the session, we create like a journal with the content and we post it. And so we have some time box in here, but the main, I think the main thing is you can see that on the top is the shoe. So we start in the shoe every single session. We have mantras. So the sensei will say his mantra, the senpai will say his mantra, and the kohais will say their mantra. You can see the mantra on the previous page. In here, right? I bring experience and passion. I respect and discipline to keep the flame of knowledge alive. And kohai say a first step is just as important as the destination. So this is just things that we create from our head, right? Things that we believe can help create a better learning and open and trusting environment for people to actually expose them and actually ask questions and just say, I don't know, I want to learn more about this, right? Vulnerability is the core.
Minute
So,
and a half.
so the 6 stages.
Mhm.
So the sensei will cover his experience and the theory behind the topic. That's 20 minutes or 25% of the session. Then we will do a session on learning collaboratively for people to share whatever they know about the topic, everyone in the session. Then everyone will choose one item from the wall that they don't know, that they are interested in experimenting on the real world. So they will be learning by doing. The fourth learning practice is actually doing an exercise with the sensei. So hands-on exercise. Then we pause for a reflection, a moment, looking at the market, the world, at practices. What is it that we think is not working in terms of, scaling agility or business agility or stuff like that. And then we end the session by people will share how they believe that they can teach whatever they learn that particular session, and they will commit to teaching others about whatever they have learned. So that's what we're trying to inspire people to do, is to focus on the session so that at the end they can actually go out and teach others, which based on the learning pyramid is the highest way of actually absorbing knowledge. So in a nutshell, this is our framework, right? And then
Okay,
some of the
awesome.
in the document later, you guys can read some of the people who participated as sensei and how they're feeling about the overall experience. And
Okay,
then just the final message.
awesome.
Habits. Okay,
All
thanks.
right. Thank you very much, Bruno. Could you make me the host again, please?
Yes, for sure.
We got some people waiting to come in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Great job. All right. So now, while we're doing the administrative stuff here, we're going to open it up for about 10 minutes of question and answer. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Bruno, first of all, thank you so much for sharing. It was very interesting. My question is the following. Could you give us a very simple example of like a topic that you take and how you take it through the loop?
Yeah, so for example, the first dojo was actually led by our leader, Everton. And the topic we decided to do with the first one, we decided to use dojos as a topic. So we would start out with sharing with the team and actually learning about it, right? Which is not necessarily something everyone knows. So in the first session, the sensei will teach us what it is based on a theory. So what is the theory behind that subject, right? We cover the theory, the basis. Then he adds up on top of that experience, because to be a sensei in our vision, it's required to have experience, right? If you only have theory about something, It's not yet complete in sense of mastery, right? We need that opportunity to fail and make mistakes to actually create the muscle around being a specialist on something, right? And so that's why we covered those two first. Then and so we do that by, while the sensei is facilitating, I'm just taking notes. The facilitator, which is the senpai, will be taking notes. Other people can actually also help, and we just fill our wall with post-its. Then the second part, everyone joins and everyone creates post-its on their own experiences around the topic. So like we talked about enterprise coaching. So I'm not an enterprise coach, but I have worked with other enterprise coaches. And this is a very interesting example because it's wildly different if you look on country levels or even different consulting business. An enterprise agile coach might be different things. So by doing that, we actually can see how I've been observing other enterprise agile coaches in action, and then we collaborate on that. And then the third one is, okay, so Tom shared this particular thing on the theory of constraints and how we can apply to our daily basis. So I like it. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to use it. So I decide to try that tomorrow, right? And there's a commitment. So there's two commitment points. So it's always committing with the post-its and making that visible, right? The fourth one is putting our hands on. So every sensei has to bring like a hands-on exercise for us to experiment. So if it's, sorry, let me just finish this. So if it's enterprise coaching, they will have the sensei, which was an enterprise coach. He created an environment for us to experience what it would be, the responsibility of talking to a CIO or a CEO or a CFO about agile transformations, which is a big responsibility. And it was actually pretty sensitive. And that's how we do it. I'm not sure if that's basically how we do it. We try to create artifacts around the sessions, and at every stop, right, every level of every opportunity to learn is our pursuit of creating these artifacts that we can always go back to, and we can use it as like a memory, if you will, like to help us remember. And that's about it. That's
Yeah.
not,
Awesome.
is that more clear now? No.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Anyone else have a question? We still got about 5 minutes or so for Q&A.
Yeah, a quick question for you, Bruno. How would you say that these compare with like guilds or other community of experience or community of practice frameworks?
Yeah, I would say it's not that different. It's still a community of practice. What we do is it's not just a guild, because a guild can be done in any way, right? So we can be considered a guild, if you will, in a way that we are agile coaches. Our team is created, is formed by agile coaches. But the thing that we really like about the dojos is the philosophy behind it and the values that it entails, right? There's this thing where I'm not sure if it's because Everest is now part of NTT Data, which is a Japanese company, but there's a lot of inspiration from the Japanese culture in our company, in Everest organization. We have a lot of programs that use values from them, like discipline and consistency and respect and empathy and all that. And so it connects really well with our pursuit of creating environments that people can actually take the most out of it. So it would be like the guild structure, but extremely formed and funded on top of that philosophy and that kind of mindset that we bring from them, that we learned from them, and we keep learning, right? Lean, Kaizen, Kanban, there's so many references of how they can be very effective and very consistent and disciplined on how they do everything. So we really like that. And that's how I would compare. It's not that different, but it's because values are so important for cultures that
Yeah.
we decided to do it in that way, and we keep getting inspired by that, and it formed the way we wanted to do it. It's
Okay.
something we like it. Yeah. It's
Thank you
not
for
that different.
thank you for the answer. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the focus on values. In my experience, values is the biggest thing that takes you from just doing agile to actually being agile.
Mhm.
So props for that inflection there. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree.
Awesome.
Totally
Awesome.
agree. Yeah.
Anyone else have one last question?
Last question, very quickly, please.
Yes.
How many times it happens? Like once a week, once a month, maybe a month?
It was every week, but we also had this need to actually connect the team in other topics, on strategic topics and tactical topics around the team, uh, that we now are doing every other week. So it's every Friday after 6, from 6 to 7:30 or something, and so every other Friday, sorry, every other Wednesday, Wednesday in the middle of the week. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you all very much. Bruno, thank you very much. And people
my
that are
pleasure.
watching live stream, we're going to stop recording and live streaming right now. Thank you for showing up, and everyone else, if you can hang on just a minute.